issues. She was self-conscious about her muscles. She used to wear big coats all the time because she was insecure about how big her arms were, obviously because she was training at such a level of gymnastics. So to hear that really upset her, and it set her back a lot with confidence at that point. And they actually ended up having a conversation with Marta Caroli, who runs the Olympic women's gymnastics, and she invited her to a private training session. Told her she wasn't fat, and that they were kind of looking at her at that point anyways, and watching her progress. And that training session just showed her potential, and the rest is history. And she got involved with Marta. The following year in 2013, she won the U.S. all-around title. Her parents actually ended up opening their own gymnastics gym, which her coach Amy moved with her to, actually, and coached her there out of her parents' gym. And essentially they were getting ready for the Olympics. She had thought about the 2012 Olympics, but then realized that she was too young for it, so it wasn't an option. So between those following 4 years is when she trained to go to Rio this past year. She won before Rio. She already had 3 world titles. I mean, the girl is amazing. I mean, she went into the Olympics with so much hype about how well she can do because she was that talented. She talked a lot about how the pressure got to her, about, how she felt like if she faulted, or she had so much pressure on her to do so well, that it was getting to her, and it was almost making her fall at practices, and it just overtook her before the Olympic Games. She talks about how her father got her a sports psychologist, to talk to, and to just let all of those aggressions out before the Olympics, to, let her feel comfortable doing what she was doing, and not feel like if she faulted that, the entire nation was gonna fault her for not exceeding, because she was projected to get all 5 gold medals at the Olympics, which she got 4, and she got 1 bronze in beam, which she talked about actually afterwards, how she felt like after she won all around and she got the gold for team, that she could relax a little bit, and that's what she said. She let her guard down, and that's when she got bronze, but she's okay with it, and she, is moving past that personal letdown, I think, that she had for herself. But, I talked a lot in my paper about, not a lot, but about how the pressures of being an Olympic athlete at such a young age really, really put so much pressure on these young athletes and what they're supposed to do. It's hard to handle, but it seems like it was handled right. Like I said, her father, got her help, got her somebody to talk to and work through all that while she was training, so it didn't interfere with her as a person and going into that level of competition. After the Olympics, she obviously became very famous, and everybody wanted to know more about her. She actually was diagnosed growing up with ADHD, which came out after the Olympics because there were hackers that actually somehow got into her medical files, which is ridiculous and such an invasion of privacy, and found out that she had been on medication for years for ADHD, which obviously she was still taking at the time of the Olympics, and they tried to pawn a doping experience as to why she was so successful and why she was able to win so many gold medals. And she talked about that in her book, about how she couldn't believe that, a disability that she had to prescribe medication for, actually would come out to be a reason for her success, and how, degrading that is to all the hard work that she put in, to do so well at the Olympics. I researched a lot, and that's actually a rising issue with Olympic athletes, is how many Olympic athletes are afraid to even take Motrin or certain rubs on their body because they're afraid that it's going to seep into their skin, and drug tests would come out saying that they were taking something else that they weren't. I guess that's actually, that was talked a lot of this with this past Olympics and the one before that, because there's such a hype on, well, there's a crackdown on obviously not taking medication, but it seems even it puts a fear in the Olympians that because it's so publicized and so scrutinized that they're afraid to take anything while they're there or while they're training because they don't want there to be any way that anyone would ever say that they were taking something they weren't supposed to be taking. So that was something really harsh that came on her after such success and being such a role model to all young athletes. So for her to go through that was just awful after all her success and how professional she held herself and how wonderful she represented the USA. It was so sad that happened. And also, I guess, right before the Olympics, her coach had taken another job in Florida, and I don't, to coach at another gym. And Simone's parents asked her coach not to tell her until after the Olympics, obviously, because they didn't want that to affect the trip or the competition. And I guess 2 days after is what she had talked about. She found out actually when they were in Rio. You know, they sat down together and she told her the move, that she would be leaving the gym and that she wouldn't be coaching her anymore. So there were a lot of changes and a lot of backlash on her returning from what was such an amazing event. I feel like she had to go through so much when she got back, but I guess it all ended well. She talked about being interested in the 2020 Olympics, but she hasn't decided anything. She's definitely not competing in 2017 at all. She's, taking a break, but her body is in good shape, and she just turned 20, so the option clearly, because Aly Raisman went this past year and was even more successful at this Olympics than she was the last time. So she definitely is leaving that option open of competing in Tokyo again. And hopefully having as much success as she did this time. Well, let's see. And I'm going to end saying that I loved learning about her. I loved reading even more about her. I didn't know half of what I know now, and we were very highly obsessed with the Olympics, so I'm surprised I didn't, but I know, speaking as a mother of a competitive gymnast, I am so thankful for girls like her who have overcome things that this young woman has overcome in her 20 years and still holds such a wonderful presence of being a role model for so many young girls in this world. My daughter looks up to her immensely, as she should, because she's just lovely and a wonderful human being. She represents the sport and the USA beautifully. She did a great job. I hope she competes in 2020. We loved watching her. And let's see. Oh, I have one more picture. This is her family. That's her father and her mother and her siblings there, who obviously she was very proud of her family and where she comes from, as she should be. Like I said, I loved this. I loved learning about her. I loved reading about her. I thought this was such an awesome assignment. Learning about... I did mention too, she talked a lot about how proud they were on where they came from, and how she used to sing in the car with her brother about being black and being proud, and they had this whole song and they would dance. I'm doing that because that's what she said they would do. Just really being proud of where she came from and how hard she worked, and it was just such a wonderful story to follow. thank you for watching. I hope you all had a great mod. It was great working with you all. Good luck to you guys in the future. Thanks.